Mr. Letourneau is not recorded. Mr. Letourneau votes no.
Will the clerk please report the tally? How is Ms. Norton recorded?
Ms. Norton is not recorded.
Ms. Norton vote yes, I assume? Yes.
Okay.
Ms. Norton votes yes. How is Mr. Burchett recorded?
Ms. Norton votes yes.
Make sure that
Mr. Burchett is not recorded. Mr. Burchett votes no.
And how is Ms. Luna recorded?
Ms. Luna is not recorded. Ms. Luna votes no.
And how is Mr. Moskowitz recorded?
Mr. Moskowitz is not recorded.
I'm trying.
Mr. Moskowitz votes yes.
Okay. Will the clerk please report the tally?
Mr. Chairman, on this vote, the ayes are 10, the nays are 19.
Okay, motion fails. Now, the question is on the amendment offered by Mr. Goldman. Does anyone else seek recognition?
Will you go and yield?
Chairman.
The chair recognizes Ms. Green.
Mr. Chairman, I'd like to talk about the importance of Hunter Biden obeying his subpoena and some of the evidence that we had questions about today when we had arranged with Hunter Biden and his attorneys for him to come in. Then he evaded his subpoena, and there's serious evidence that needs to be discussed. That has to do with many of the bank reports that we had read in the Treasury, outlining very serious crimes that Hunter Biden had committed or has allegedly committed, and then we have evidence of that. Crimes of Mann Act violation, human trafficking, these were in the bank reports, and the American people deserve to know about it. Here's another excerpt from a bank report.
Mr. Chairman, what is
Talking about
Point of order,
a victim
point
in
of order.
California. I reclaim my
hold on
time.
one moment, Ms. Green. State your point, Mr. Goldman.
what is the gentle lady just showing to the cameras?
This is her 5 minutes on your amendment.
Well, if it's the suspicious activity reports, there was an agreement with the Treasury Department that the committee would not disclose the information.
It's my understanding what she's showing has already been disclosed in the public long before we started this investigation.
So this is in the public domain?
Yep.
Yeah.
Is that your representation?
Is that a verbal representation? It's in the public domain?
This is in the public domain. I reclaim my time. Victim 1 is a California resident currently employed with FSS Management between June 2018 October 2021. Victim 1, Hunter Biden's victim, was employed by Owasco PC as evidenced by her receipt of bi-weekly payroll remittances from Owasco PC. However, during this same period of time, Victim 1 also received large round dollar wires from Owasco PC, which reference new hire, K-wage, 10K golf member, and pay. Victim 1 received 5 wires totaling $44,508 in a 4-month period between June 12, 2018 and October 2nd, 2018. These are reports that are calling so-called employees of Hunter Biden and his law firm victims. And here's evidence of Hunter Biden violating the Mann Act. This is trafficking women across state lines for prostitution. This is an airplane ticket showing that it was purchased by Hunter Biden for this victim, where she flew from Los Angeles to Washington, D.C., and then the next day flew back to Los Angeles. The date is she flew in from Los Angeles on June 14th, 2018, and was flown back to Los Angeles the following day. And this is pictures that Hunter Biden had produced and uploaded to porn websites, and it's marked
Mr.
out.
Chairman,
These
point of
are
parliamentary
marked out,
point-
showing
point of
proof
parliamentary inquiry,
of
Mr. Chairman.
proof of Mann
Okay.
Act violations. Democrats should not be
Okay.
offended by pictures that
Chairman,
black out.
have I been
things.
recognized?
They should be
Objection. I
offended
have a
by
point of
actual
parliamentary
human
inquiry.
trafficking.
Mr.
All
Chairman,
right, but state your point.
thank you kindly, Mr. Chairman. On July 26th, I sent you a letter about the last time this happened when the gentlelady introduced before this committee without any notice to anyone nude photos, pornographic images that were completely irrelevant to the purpose of the hearing itself. And my question to you is, are members allowed to simply put up sensationalistic, voyeuristic, pornographic images if they're not relevant to the actual object of the legislative proceeding? I want a parliamentary ruling on that.
Mr. Raskin, that's probably part of the questioning for Mr. Biden, violations of the Mann Act. Ms. Green's led on that issue.
No, this is a
These
question
are
of
already,
the rules
these
of the
have already,
committee.
these pictures have already been entered into the record.
So in other words, you have accepted the idea that members can introduce irrelevant,
I don't-
sexually based,
How
voyeuristic.
is this irrelevant?
Well,
How does it relate to Joe Biden?
How does it relate to?
We're not doing
well-
a criminal investigation of Hunter
No,
Biden.
we've
Point-
had,
point-
we've
point
had
of order, Mr.
several
Chairman,
people
point of
that
order.
have testified in the FBI, DOJ, IRS, that they were told to stand down investigating various crimes of the Biden family.
Okay.
Did Joe Biden tell them to stand down? Who told the IRS, the FBI, and everyone else to stand down? This is what we're investigating.
None of those-
Reclaiming my
Stop
time,
it.
reclaiming my time, Mr. Chairman.
I believe it's my time.
No,
I'm reclaiming
no,
my
I have
time.
been
All right,
I've been
dropped the clock.
I
You're
object.
good.
I object to the use of this exhibit, Mr. Chairman. This is not a criminal investigation of the Mann Act or prostitution or anything else. It's completely irrelevant to a subpoena, the validity of that subpoena, and whether or not there's been compliance with that subpoena. It's totally extraneous, immaterial, and irrelevant. And someone should explain that to Ms. Green if she doesn't understand.
Point of
This is-
parliamentary
this is-
inquiry.
And let the chair rule. You had a point of order. The chair's rule.
I
This
object to
is
the use
evidence.
of this-
You objected. We got that. Evidence that Hunter is a material witness in this investigation.
Well,
Now-
does that mean you can put up pornographic pictures of other people that Hunter Biden has met in his life? I mean, come on. Like, how far does that go? It's not relevant to your motion.
Well, you can ask him that in the
It's
deposition.
not relevant. No, honestly, Mr. Chairman, it's not relevant to your motion of whether or not he violated that subpoena. How do those naked pictures have anything to
Mr.
do with
Chairman,
it?
point of order.
This is not the Jerry Springer show.
point.
This is the United States House of Representatives.
And let me
Come
say
on.
this.
Talked
Let me
about a
say
bunch of
this.
things
This is
today
not
that weren't
pornography. It's appropriately censored evidence in an ongoing investigation.
Yes.
Okay? It's appropriately censored evidence in an ongoing investigation.
Censored-
Mr.
All right, I
Biggs
just want to
raised
say,
a point.
pursuant to Clause 6 of Rule 17, I object to the use of this exhibit as irrelevant, extraneous, sensationalistic, voyeuristic, and totally antithetical to the legislative purposes of this committee in this House. This is not the Jerry Springer show. Yield back.
Chair recognizes Mr. Biggs for a point of order.
Thank-
We're
thank-
still, your clock stopped, Ms. Green.
Yeah, my point of order is
And I appeal the ruling of the chair. If that was a ruling, Mr. Chairman, did you rule on it? Because I appeal your ruling. If you're-
so I was recognized for my point of order,
ahead.
and I get it, he wants to have an appeal, so, but
Chair
I'm trying to keep this in order as much as we can. Mr. Chairman, my question is to you, is now the objection based on relevance going to be encountered here and constrain what can be presented in this committee? And the reason I ask that is because there is virtually nothing. A comment I made in the press about it was totally tangential to this, that they just tried to get in. All of that becomes irrelevant. If that's the case, then the entire Democrat testimony that we've heard today should be stricken as being irrelevant.
No, I think you're,
irrelevant and
we're going
pornographic.
to have a ruling. So Ms. Green is attempting to enter this into the record, unanimous consent. Mr. Raskins has objected. And we're going to vote on it, just like we voted on the last amendment.
Clearly.
they defend all women, don't they? Except women
Yeah,
that Hunter Biden
the ruling is the point of order will not be recognized, and Ms. Green is in order. If you want to object,
Well, yeah, I object. And Mr. Chairman, you have the authority to bring to the full House under Rule 17 whether or not pornographic material should be entered
And
without a
again,
clear
it's
showing of
not
relevance. And I would ask you to
Mr.
bring that to
Chairman.
the floor of the House. Let the members of the House decide whether that's the new standard, whether the
Mr.
Congressman
Chairman,
Marjorie
may I
Taylor
have
Green
my-
standard is going to be
may
the
I
standard for
reclaim
the
my
whole
time?
House.
the quorum is within discretion of the chair. We've overruled your objection.
Okay. And I appeal that.
You appeal the ruling of the chair.
Yes, I do. I would like
So
a
we're
vote.
going to vote on that.
We're going to vote on the pornography.
May I finish? May
Hold on. All right, Mr. Gosar, you're recognized.
I move to table the motion.
Okay. Motion to table the motion that, of Mr. Raskins. This motion is not debatable. As many as are in favor of tabling signify by saying aye. Aye. All those opposed signify by saying no.
No.
In the opinion of the chair, the yeas and the motion, the yeas have it, and the motion to table is agreed to. The committee will now resume.
Mr. Chairman, I would move for a recorded vote. I mean, if that were a book, she would censor it, but she wants to advertise it through the House of
Recorded vote
Representatives.
is ordered. A recorded vote is ordered.
If we're going courtroom, speaking objections don't work, Chief.
The clerk will call the roll. You'll call the roll. If you vote yes, you table the motion. So, clerk, call the roll.
Mr. Jordan. Mr. Turner. Mr. Gosar. Mr. Gosar votes yes. Ms. Fox. Ms. Fox votes yes. Mr. Grothman. Mr. Grothman votes yes. Mr. Cloud. Mr. Cloud votes yes. Mr. Palmer. Mr. Palmer votes aye. Mr. Higgins. Mr. Higgins votes aye. Mr. Sessions. Mr. Sessions votes aye. Mr. Biggs. Mr. Biggs votes aye. Ms. Mace. Mr. LaTurner. Mr. LaTurner votes aye. Mr. Fallon. Mr. Fallon votes aye. Mr. Donalds. Mr. Donalds votes yes. Mr. Perry. Mr. Perry votes aye. Mr. Timmons. Mr. Timmons votes aye. Mr. Burchett. Mr. Burchett votes aye. Ms. Green.
Aye.
Ms. Green votes aye. Ms. McLean. Ms. McLean votes aye. Ms. Boebert. Mr. Fry. Mr. Fry votes aye. Ms. Luna. Ms. Luna votes aye. Mr. Langworthy. Mr. Burleson. Mr. Burleson votes aye. Mr. Waltz. Mr. Waltz votes aye. Mr. Raskin.
No.
Mr. Raskin votes no. Ms. Norton.
No.
Ms. Norton votes no. Mr. Lynch. Mr. Lynch votes no. Mr. Connolly. Mr. Connolly votes no. Mr. Krishnamurthy. Mr. Khanna. Mr. Khanna votes no. Mr. Mfume. Ms. Ocasio-Cortez. Ms. Porter. Ms. Porter votes no. Ms. Bush. Ms. Bush votes no. Mr. Gomez. Ms. Brown. Ms. Stansbury. Mr. Garcia. Mr. Garcia votes no. Mr. Frost. Mr. Frost votes no. Mr. Kassar. Ms. Lee. Ms. Lee votes no. Mr. Kassar votes no. Ms. Crockett.
No.
Ms. Crockett votes no. Mr. Goldman. Mr. Goldman votes nay. Mr. Moskowitz. Mr. Moskowitz votes no. Ms. Tlaib. Ms. Tlaib votes no. Mr. Chairman.
Chairman votes yes.
Mr. Chairman votes yes.
Will the clerk please report the tally? Okay.
Mr. Chairman, on this vote, the nays are 15, the ayes are 21.
The yeas have it, and the motion to table is agreed to. The committee will now resume consideration of the Goldman Amendment. Ms. Green has 2 minutes remaining.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. And again, this information is extremely important because Hunter Biden refused to obey his subpoena, and we are holding him in contempt of Congress for doing so. This is important evidence of human trafficking, Mann Act violations that we had questions for the president's son about. And there's evidence. I'd like to show the evidence of payments. These are payments made from Hunter Biden and his law firm to so-called assistants. These were not assistants. These are prostitutes that he was trafficking. And I think these victims are important. And just because our Democrat colleagues don't like the evidence doesn't mean that it's not relevant. And I'm especially offended by the women on this committee that don't care about these women's rights. They're victims of Hunter Biden. Here's another excerpt from bank reports talking about victims. These are banks, and these banks are identifying these women as victims. Victim 2. Talking about victim 2, victim 1, each appear to be in the adult entertainment industry and are receiving payments from Hunter and Owasco PC. It is unclear what relationship Hunter or Owasco PC have with these individuals. And based on public media, it appears possible the payments may be associated to prostitution or adult entertainment services. Victim 2 is a New York resident and employed as freelance. Per internet research, she is a social media influencer and adult entertainer. She received 6 quick pays for $6,250 from Hunter between 3/29/2018 and 11/20/2018. This is clear evidence, Mr. Chairman. These are important questions we have for the president's son pertaining to Mann Act violations.
Time.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman.